myself. 1 second. Okay. Good, let's go. Okay, right? Onegaishimasu.
Onegaishimasu.
Okay, great, very good. You just loosen up a little bit, shake everything up. And taking it into a sideways rotation. Okay, rolling the hips. Changing direction. And straighten the legs. Circle the knees. Direction. We're going down. Okay, great. Roll out the ankles. Roll in the foot off the ground. Change your direction. Into the toes. Great. Bending at the foot and then just twisting that hip to the side. Side. Okay, shaking it out a little bit, rolling from the hip. Loose. Great. Okay, go to the other side. Both ways. Good, circles off the floor. Change the direction. Straighten the leg. Bring the foot up and twist the hip. Circle out nice and loose. Great, take it into the shoulders, reaching the arms out, the sides, and then press out the palms, so you're spreading the palms away from each other. Spreading the fingers away from each other. A little bit like you want to curl the fingers towards the head, towards the ears. Pressure right out the palms. Same thing then, fingers down. Down. Again, get the palms kind of splitting away from each other. Nice strong extension out. Spreading the fingers away from each other. And a little bit like you want to curl the fingers towards the armpits. Good. The same thing, reaching up the top, starting with the fingers pointing towards each other. About pressing up through the palms, spreading the fingertips. Okay, coming a little bit wide with the arms, pointing the fingers away from each other. Kind of holding up low. Getting pressure out of the palms. And once you've got that, spread the fingertips. Like you want to pull the fingertips towards the body. And then out to the front, first with the fingers up. Pressure out the palms. Spread the fingertips. Curve and then back towards the face. Good. And then fingers pointing down. Reverse. Palms. Little the fingertips spread them away from each other. Pulling the fingers back towards the body. Just releasing the arms out. Changing the direction of it, swinging them out to the front. Okay, bring them across the body here, swinging them down. Just going to release, let the arms release down. Shoulder, elbow, wrist release. If you do it. Okay, bring it into a twist, and we'll release the shoulder. Back it. Okay, swinging out the arms to the front. Have the shoulders front and back. Shoulder, elbow, wrist. Nice and heavy. The different one, you're going to bring the arms around in a circle so they come around the front of the body. This way, they're going to go together now. So just let them kind of come out. Back. Back. And keep the shoulders relaxed, keep the elbows heavy. It's nice and relaxed. Kind of wave it over. As you do this, just think about kind of transferring the weight across a little bit as well from the feet, one side and then the other. Slightly shifting the center line of body to one foot, and then over to the other. Gently, not too much. So. So. Good, and then changing the direction of the arms. Good. Okay, now you're going to roll the arms back, a little bit like you're going to kind of backstroke with the arm. Let the body turn to face one way, so you're just going to turn face towards, let's go something facing the right leg. Just roll the shoulders out. Perfect. A few one side, and then switch it into the other side. The shift of the weight, if you do it across the legs. So we keep going. And you're going to kind of alternate the arms now. So you're going to do this way, and then switch it this way. Keep the arms in motion. You're going to link the hip, the arm there. Really bit tricky. Driving with the core of the body, keeping the arms like heavy ropes, swinging across. Good, and last one, just swinging them down. So just working the vertical, really releasing them down. Yeah, that's one, which nice and loose, just play from this position and just using that connection from the hip and the hand, hip to hand. Just play kind of casting the arm out. You can do it in any way you like. You can use any connection. But just think about hip and hand going together, kind of pressing it out. So look like this kind of way. Down with it, swing it out to the side. Just 3. And it's heavy. Connecting into the hip. Good. Okay, we're sticking to a little bit of tiny work, so just working with that form. Then keep that feeling of the connection from the hand and the hip. Is that hand is hip going in. Working both hips, solidifying the hip, and then bringing the hands together with it. So again, that sense of relax. Quality with the hands, but working on with the extension through the joint. Yeah, so I think on Monday we were working with this idea of using these kind of rotation movements and trying to try and find the pivot point or the axis of the movement. So just look at the same thing here with tiny hand. It's very easy to do this, and this is the pivot point for the movement. So it becomes something like that. So everything's kind of pivoting around here. Try and feel that you bring in this first movement, you're bringing the center of your body into this point. So this, and then try and feel that the axis for the movement is here. That position, and this is just an extension out from it, but I don't want to in this case feel that that's the pivot point. Feel that you bring the center line to it, and then the center of the body becomes the pivot forward. So that first move is really essential to get the center in, kick into the center here, and get this behind it. So feel that you're entering in here and then find that rotation. Just kind of releasing in, release the shoulder, release the arm. And take the center line. Yeah, good. You can play this also with the 𝒍, so you've got this kind of feeling here. Now the center, if the person's got it, the center line starts to be pulled out here. Now, what if I don't bring the center line to the body, it goes like this. So I pivot around, I try and pivot around this point, but you're doing the same thing, but feel that you actually bring the center line to this point. So here, you've got the extension, so it's not touching the body, but you've got that kind of feeling. And then what you want to feel is that as you go, you're actually bringing it with you as you go into it. So feel that you're dropping into the center line, and you start to kind of pivot around it. But just use the 𝒍 as kind of reference. It's either that kind of feeling where I kind of pivot around here, or you go into the point. With it. So just play with the 𝒍 here if you want. That to that. That feeling, and then bring it with you to the movement. Good. Okay, we're going to a 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒿 variation. Just think about both hands being grabbed, so you're in a ryotodori rather than a murate. So using both hands. In this case, use that same motion here. You're using this movement folding in, and then you've also got the back hand in this case, which is going to kind of be blocked. So what I do is fold in with this hand, this side, and then as you're going in, you lead out with this back hand. So you're doing like in a way, it's like a kind of sphere around the body, that happening. So this hand allows you to draw in, and then this back hand starts to, as you go in, find that extension out away. So you're looking to split into the person's grip, and then take this balance away from them this way. So you've got two hands doing two different things. One's folding in, and the other's extending out and around this way. That's what just the first movement. Then you've got an entry in. And then, as you open this out, let that leg shift this way. So in, extending out, in, extending out. Once you've got the idea of what the hand's doing, see if you can start to bring them together. So they start to actually work together this way, but they're actually kind of doing different things in a way. But you're kind of splitting in and extending out at the same time. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Good, and then from here, you're just going to open it out. So you do the similar kind of movement as the Morote. You've got that movement. Now this is going to curl and open. This hand opens out the same way. It comes down to it. So you've got this motion, and then you've got to raise up, through, and then bring in the back hand into the movement. 1, 2. Holding in and extending out. Extending out and out.
Hello. Can I call you back in about half an hour? Yeah. Yeah, I'll call you back about. Yeah, all right, talk to you in a bit. Cheers, bye. Sorry about that.
So just think about now, you've got the hands and the feet, think about the elbows doing as well. So that's the same thing with the swings. You want the elbows to be kind of heavy and dense in the movement. Same thing here as you go in. Allow the elbows to be kind of heavy. So you're going to kind of, a little bit like kind of impacting in with the elbow. Yeah, and then that elbow is going to kind of stretch and open out this way. And then the key part here for us is like that position. Think of the elbow dropping in to the technique here. So you've got this. Just imagine, in this case, you've got the kind of stretched out, and then you want it as if the elbow is going to kind of drop into the body this way down. So just putting a little bit of emphasis here, reaching up, drain through the elbows this way. This. And then see if you can work on this slightly more elastic quality. So a little bit like when we do this kind of Sekai exercise, this kind of inside to outside direction. So you're working inside to outside. In this case, you've got a similar kind of motion happening with the body. So you're coiling in this position. And then think about opening the body out from the center. So you've got this coil in, you're closing the structure, keeping strong extension. So you're not kind of coiling in the whole body and becoming small, but you coil inside. And then the key here is this. It's kind of open out. Just trying to lead with the center. Try and pass that movement out into the hands. You want that first move, the sense that the weight of the center is going to land in and kick the person out of the structure. and press through them with the center. Going the wrong way, backward, and there. Trying to transfer the whole weight of the body through the arms. Good. Okay, we'll take this into a little bit of 𝒂𝒐𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧𝒧📂. So working with this heaven to earth thing. So this same idea of splitting the hands, and basically they do opposing things. Just play this first few here. Just play this idea that you're going to kind of roll the hip down, and you're just going to kind of open it out. And just play with this motion. So just play, not technical, just playing with this idea, just as if you're kind of splitting the hands apart and spreading them in opposing directions. So this one's going to the floor, and this one's starting to raise up. So the main thing with this is you don't want to kind of push-pull kind of thing. So you want this idea of kind of spreading the connection out. So I want to keep that connection between the hands with the hips, the center. I want to kind of split the body away. So keep this idea that you're kind of opening up, you've got a kind of elastic connection. Right. So that feeling. Step. So bringing the feet into it now, starting with the hand beat. So whichever foot is forward, that same hand's going to be reaching down with it. So you've got that same thing. Think about, you've got a real to the grip in this case, both hands held. Think about now you're advancing in as you do it. So this front hip, mostly focusing here on the down foot. Let that front, let the backhand start to open out to the top, but just focusing on that kind of sliding. So you want to feel now it's like the body's kind of splitting the hands. So as you advance in, it's not that you're kind of pulling the hands apart and then advancing. Think about you've got that connection and you're advancing in, and that's split. comes in, but you kind of like you're splitting wood, so you're kind of driving the body in and opening that connection out, splitting the hands. So, front hand's going towards the ground, top hand's going to start to open up to the ceiling.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So we're going to the second step. The first step, work with this. This is the line. What you're going to do with that very first movement is really shift out to the side. So your partner's here in this case. You want to get right to the side of it this way. So you're going to kind of wedge in. Later this changes with the 𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂, but for the kind of basic one, get this feeling that you're going to bring the whole body in and wedge it up this way. So you've got this motion. And think about this hand starting to reach up, not fully yet, but as if it's kind of closing onto the person this way. So you want to start to draw them out of balance and start to, in this case, lock onto the body. So you've got this motion coming in. And then from here, think about opening this up with the back leg, starts to mobilize. And this hand, this one reaches fully to the ground, starts to spiral up around. Just take that bit nice and slow. And then from here, this is the line you're going to step right across it this way. So you're stepping through the person's structure, totally in a way.
Oh.
Behind them, but in this case, think about stepping through it. So you've got the first move sliding in, and then keep that extension down. Open the top hand with the hip, and then from here, again, keep that connection, the fully split now, and then you step through, let the hip through. So you go to the side of the line, and then you're stepping right across it. Yeah.
Right across.
Yeah, this idea of coming to the side, really, what this is also opens the hip out. A little bit, not the same, but as soon as this idea with your Riminai, when you come to the back and you fully rotate the hip here, this position. And then with the basic throw, you've got that hip rolling through it that way. So you get a bigger movement of the hip, or you've got more opportunity to move the hip with it. So the basics always you've got a kind of much clearer windows on the technique, and they give you much more possibility to kind of explore these kind of movements with the hips. When you go to these kind of 𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂 forms, this movement starts to become much more condensed. But try with the basic in this sense that you really come to the side here. So this back hip now is here, and then think about that hip really opening up. So you're really keeping that spiral nice and big. sliding in, closing it in, and then open it out to the top and pressing. Yeah. So you want to give the maximum amount of kind of movement with the hip. Yeah. Good. Yeah, and the other thing to think about the backhand also being involved in it. So tension is really easy to let this hand take over, and it becomes this hand kind of dead, and then this hand doing the kind of throw with it. Think about with the 𝒉𝒂𝒕, you're also using that hand. This one draws to the back here this way, and then as you advance, and it's also contributing to drawing the person out of structure. Because if this becomes dead, it starts to kind of use this arm. The person does these kind of things, and these are actually quite easy to kind of either step out of or block it. But if you kind of trap the person's structure with this arm as well, as you draw over, they get totally drawn out of structure. So think as you do this hand as you come in, this hand stays full, and it's still extending and reaching into the ground all the way through it. So you go in there, that. There's a pressure coming in from the backhand. So you can, or you should be able to do the technique just with that backhand. So that kind of feeling. You go into that extension stays full. It's nice. Nice. That's nice.
His question.
Good. And then we'll start to make it a little bit more flexible, but think about the same point from this last technique, this idea that the hip is going to kind of come in and impact into the technique. So at the end of the day, you're using the arms as kind of levers to transmit the force of the hip and the center through it. So think as you do this now a little bit more flexible, the hip is going to come in, the hip is going to come in this way. Again, it's really easy to become an arm technique, something like this. So keep this feeling here that you're kind of rolling the hip in, rolling the hip in with it. So it's a little bit more flexible now. Try and lead with the center. Think about all this weapon work we do, like 𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂, where the center's rolling in and the weapon comes through. So you're trying to spring the hips into the arm work. Nice. Great. So there's a few 𝒂𝒂𝒿 forms with this one. The first one we look at is this kind of long form with it. So in this case, again, you're starting rotating, similar to this kind of 𝒂𝒂𝒿 we did before. But you've got now a rotation, both hands held, you're rolling through to this position, and then you're opening up, finding that connection.
Oh, right.
So in this case, you're in this position, you would roll to the back. Yeah, and then you've got that same footwork. You go back out to the side and then stepping through the line this way. So if you're using a line, you work to the back, you roll across, and you step in this way. So now it's just a matter of keeping that connection extended through the form. You're trying to keep that cheek, that head and nose split in the arms. Open, step.
One. Same move. Step in. And it's like
Yeah, the first thing here is keeping this idea of the hips being in motion. So what you're looking for in this case is once you start this rotation, this, just take it slowly. Get the hips basically going in all the time. So they're rolling through, here, opening out, and coiling through or entering through to the back. But think of them now constantly in motion. I don't want to get to this position and let it stop, and then stop, and then stop. So just keep it as one fluid motion, but just think specifically about the hips. Staying in motion all the time. If I can get that feeling to the hands. And then obviously the other thing, the other element of this in terms of 𝒂𝒂𝒿 to make it function is that you need to be basically, as the person attack, taking them inside movement this way. Because if they're able to attack on the ground, then you're basically stuck in the basic technique. But so the idea now is to work from this position neutral and then think that you're inviting the grid and then you flow with it. So it's a kind of leading movement. Similar way like we were showing to this idea of kind of provoking the attack. You're just doing it now by provoking the attack by bringing the hands into it. But you've got to think now as you invite that you're drawing them into that spiral so that as they commit to the attack, they get pulled out this way. And then they want to come around to either keep contact or continue another attack. So think about, don't do that. be neutral, and then think about your inviting the grip, roll into it. So we've now got this idea of kind of moving the person out of structure. You invite, lead them out. So easy, even solo.
Okay, you're good. You're good. Okay. One.
Great. Okay, good. And then this the kind of second key I go for. There's another one we kind of draw the person back. It's tricky to do when they're partner. I've never done it solo. So we'll go to this one. This is basically like it's the same idea, but it's now really direct. So you're not doing this rotation around. You're inviting them into grab, and as they do it, you're coming up to the side and coming around with the hand this way. You're not really giving them a chance to grab them. So as they come into the attack, you're just slipping around. They might take that the front hand because that's closest, but you're wanting now to just basically come straight through them. You're using that same kind of alignment, so you're not going straight into them. You're still wedging out, but that movement now is tighter and more direct. So it's that coming straight into it. So now this hand and the backhand back hip cuts straight into the technique. If you get the angle right, you get the commitment in the attack, and just pass straight through. But just the last few here, just again, you can work this with a kind of geo as a practice. But if you just look at this technique, just have the finger kind of moving around the space, you kind of work around. Keep again that sense of the neutral feeling, and then think again. In this case, you invite the attack and go straight into it. So you'll need to be kind of seamless in this case. So use a little bit of motion, mobility around the space. Just think that you want to present open, take the technique straight away. Assuming the person attacks, and then off it. One and seamless. Fight, you blend, and you flow in one movement. Right, blend, throw. Yeah. Okie dokie, great. We're going to finish there. Very good. So still got Tenshi heaven to work for. Okay. どうもありがとうございました。
Oh, arigatou gozaimasu.
Okie dokie. Great.